How does a man with absolutely nothing build one of the largest corporate empires on the entire planet? Well, it's a story of incredible ambition, pure audacity, and a single gambit that would end up changing a nation forever. Today, we're diving into the story of Dhirubhai Ambani's rise.
To really get a sense of the scale of what he built, let me just throw this number at you. 2 crore rupees. That's 20 million rupees. It's what his company, Reliance Industries, pulls in every single minute today. But to understand the man behind it all, we've got to go way back to a time when his earnings were, well, a lot smaller.
Because believe it or not, this whole global empire started right here, with a young guy, a clerk, just standing for hours in the scorching sun, filling up cars with petrol. It's a crazy contrast, right? And the journey from there to here, well, it's one of the greatest business stories you'll ever hear.
So, how in the world did he get from a petrol pump to a global empire? The story really begins with a spark. He was born to a poor school teacher in a tiny village in Gujarat, and at just 16 years old, Dhirubhai gets on a steamer headed for Aden, a busy port thousands of kilometers from home, on the hunt for his first big break.
Now, working for this massive trading company in Aden, Dhirubhai wasn't just punching the clock, you know? His mind was always scanning, observing, constantly looking for an edge. And in the early 1950s, he found one, hidden in plain sight, inside the local currency.
The concept he was about to use is a classic in finance called arbitrage. Put simply, it's the art of spotting a price difference for the exact same thing in 2 different places and cashing in on that gap. It sounds easy, but finding the opportunity in the first place, that's where the genius comes in.
So here's how the gambit worked, and it's brilliant. He realized that the pure silver inside the Yemeni rial coins was actually worth more than the face value of the coin itself. So he started buying up every single coin he could get his hands on, melting them down into silver bars, and then selling that raw silver to dealers in London for a higher price. He did this over and over for 3 months, making several lakhs, hundreds of thousands of rupees, before the authorities even had a clue what was going on. Now, that kind of money could have set him up for a nice, comfortable life, but Dhirubhai, he wasn't wired for comfort. In 1958, he packed his bags and went back to India, not to retire, but with an ambition just burning inside him. It was time to build his own empire.
And the empire began right here, in Bombay, in a tiny 350-square-foot room with a single phone, 1 table, and 3 chairs. That's it. He and his cousins started a company called Reliance Commercial Corporation. And at first, they were just exporting spices and textiles, a seriously humble beginning for what was about to come.
And from that tiny room, his rise was just meteoric. He quickly figured out there was a huge opportunity in synthetic yarn, and he mastered the super complex government import license system to totally dominate the trade. By 1965, the business was all his. But his next moves, the ones in high finance, that's what would really make him a legend.
So this is absolutely crucial. His 1977 initial public offering, the IPO, completely changed the game. You see, before Reliance, the Indian stock market was basically a private club for the rich. Dhirubhai just kicked the doors wide open and invited India's middle class to become partners in his company's growth.
And boy, did they get rewarded. The stock was oversubscribed 7 times over. And get this, within just a few months, their investment had multiplied by 5. For the first time, regular people were seeing real wealth being created on the stock market. And Dhirubhai, well, he earned their absolute unwavering loyalty.
But that kind of success, it makes you a target. In 1982, a powerful cartel of stockbrokers decided they were going to destroy Reliance. They launched an all-out war, short-selling the stock, betting they could drive the price straight into the ground and bankrupt the company. The battle kicks off on March 18th. The bears start dumping shares like crazy, pushing the price down from 131 rupees. But then, something totally unexpected happens. A mysterious group of buyers steps in and buys every single share the bears sold. Instead of crashing, the stock shot up to 201 rupees, completely wiping out the cartel. And those mystery buyers? Well, let's just say they were friends of Dhirubhai, probably backed by the man himself.
So, he'd conquered the stock market, but his vision was so much bigger than textiles and trading. He was now dreaming of building the actual industrial backbone of India itself. He had a massive end goal in mind.
His masterstroke was a strategy called backward integration. It sounds complicated, but the idea is actually pretty simple. Stop relying on anyone else. You own every single step of your production process.
from the most basic raw material all the way to the finished product you sell in a store. Think about it like this. He was already making Vinyl fabric from polyester thread, but he wanted to go backwards down the chain. He wanted to make the thread himself. To do that, you need petrochemicals. And where do those come from? An oil refinery, which gets its stuff from crude oil. He wanted to own the whole shebang, from the oil well right to the showroom. But right when this massive dream was finally coming together, disaster strikes. In 1986, he had a massive stroke that paralyzed his entire right side. I mean, he was fighting for his life for weeks. Most people thought, this is it. The Dhirubhai era is over. They couldn't have been more wrong.
His body might have been weakened, but his mind, it was sharper than ever. He announced his ultimate dream project, India's very first private sector oil refinery in Jamnagar. The cost was an unbelievable $6 billion. Just to put that into perspective, that was the biggest private industrial investment in the entire country's history.
And the way he pulled it off was just breathtaking. In a record 3 years, just 3, a patch of barren desert was transformed into this sprawling industrial complex, one of the biggest refineries in all of Asia. Dhirubhai hadn't just dreamed the impossible, he had made it happen at lightning speed. And just like that, his dream of backward integration was complete. The kid who used to fill petrol tanks in Eden now controlled India's entire petroleum value chain. His life's ambition? Done.
So what was it that drove him? It really boils down to a simple philosophy. If you want to achieve great things, you have to think on a scale nobody else even dares to. That mindset, that's how the son of a village schoolteacher built India's largest company from absolutely nothing.
Which leaves us with a final, pretty provocative question. Look, his methods were controversial, his ambition was off the charts, and you just can't deny his influence. So it makes you wonder, did this one man, in his quest to build his own empire, actually end up building modern India itself? That is the great unfinished question of his legacy.